and gentlemen, to the Seattle Kingdome as we get ready for one of the premier Super Modified Mud Racing Championships. Before many of the National Championship mud racing events, you'll see a lot of drivers out here visually checking the mud racing pits. There's a lot of things you can learn just by looking at the mud and performing one simple test. The infamous flying rock test. Now, that one little splash can tell a driver an awful lot about what kind of pit he's going to be racing in. If the rock doesn't sink too far into the mud, he knows that the surface of the dirt underneath the standing water is going to be pretty stiff, and traction will be there and will probably stay there. Here in the northwestern part of the country, we've got a very sandy type of silt that makes it awfully messy, but traction usually sticks around on the starting line longer than other places. However, the one thing to watch is because of that grainy texture, it's going to be awfully difficult to stop these machines at 70 miles an hour in an 80-foot distance. And remember, if they go past that disqualification marker, they're history. And the very first pair of drivers is up, and in the near lane, it's one of 3 different female campaigners here at the Kingdome. The very first lady up will be Sharon Jobin in the Deja Vu machine that won this event 1 year ago. A carbureted, nitrous oxide injected Chevrolet power plant. She'll be up against Jim Moore in the far lane with his Chevrolet-powered Jeep CJ, the fiberglass-bodied machine waiting patiently as the ground crew connects the kill switches on both machines that will shut the engines down right at the finish line. Starting line officials now motioning each machine up to stage. Moore waits patiently as Sharon Jobin lines up in the near lane. The first 2 machines through this 80-foot pit, but remember, they also must stop within 80 feet past the finish line. Staged up and ready. Awaiting the countdown, the green light ready to flash. And Moore rolls over the line and starts the clocks in his lane. And it may have looked close, but Moore's elapsed time, 5.049 seconds, won't help him a bit. He actually rolls to within a few feet of disqualification, too. Sharon Jobin at 2.66 seconds in the near lane will take the lead in qualifying for this 4-car shootout field. On the replay, watching the far lane as Moore rolls off the starting line. The clock starts ticking before he ever starts moving. The lady keeps it straight and true, though. The Deja Vu machine at 2.66 seconds takes the #1 qualifying spot. 1 year ago here at the Kingdome, this was the machine to beat in the super modified mud racing ranks. Ken Jobin's Deja Vu 1923 Ford T Roadster ended up winning the event, but not without some spectacular antics on his own. 3 separate and serious engine fires during competition, but still Jobin ended up walking away with the title. But this year, Jobin hopes to be #1 again with a brand new ride. The brand new BOGFATHER 1927 Ford T Roadster of Ken Jobin should be the machine to beat here this evening. And Ken, you've made a lot of changes from the Fireball entry last year.
Yeah, the new car was built from the ground up after we lost the 2 transmissions in both my car and in Sharon's last year. I gave her my car and built a new one.
So Sharon will be in the seat of the machine that won this event last year, and you've got to be pretty happy with that kind of power at your disposal.
Yes, I am.
You so far have proven that you're not just somebody who gets in the driver's seat and mashes the pedal. You can tune this car, or both cars actually, just as good as Ken.
Oh, I can, but I still need, some help from him. I order most of his parts for him and run and get the parts and things like that, too.
So he may be the guy that puts it together, but you're the guy that tells him what to put together, right?
Right.
Now, this year, obviously, you've got a stake here to uphold, at least with the title from last year. Who are you looking to beat more than anybody else tonight?
Well, this is my new nitrous car, and I'd like to take a couple of them big blowers out if I could tonight.
Certainly the Captain America team has got to be one.
That's probably the most powerful blower in the house. So we have almost the same cubic inches, and I'm running nitrous and he's blown.
It will be interesting, and you can bet this husband and wife duo will be out to give the crowd more than their money's worth. And ironically, these 2 machines meet up in the first round. It will be Jobin's brand new BOGFATHER nitrous machine in the near lane. On the far side of this 2-lane course, the most dreaded supercharged mud racer in the Northwestern Territories. The incredible Captain America blown Chevy-powered Jeep of Mike Wilkie's. Side by side on its maiden voyage, this is what Ken Jobin wanted. Let's see if he can pull the upset in front of the Seattle fans. The brakes hard, Wilkie stops the Captain America in time, and the elapsed time for the red, white, and blue fiberglass funny car, a new track record, 2.09 seconds for the #1 qualifying spot. Jobin not far behind at all at 2.44 seconds. An excellent debut for the beautiful new silver entry of the Jobin family. But Wilkes proves once again that his dominance is far from over in this super modified mud racing category. Jobin purges the nitrous system as he shuts down the engine. Watch the replay as the Captain America machine gets immediately up on the mud and thunders through at 2:09 for the #1 spot. Harold Shamblin in the far lane, the Big Daddy's Toy, supercharged altered wheelbase Jeep, near lane Russ Egger, sideways and through the finish line, poles for Shamblin. That will be a disqualification. But meanwhile, in the near lane, Eggers is still trying to make it to the finish line, and he does. Believe it or not, Eggers will get the official win with an elapsed time of 12.62 seconds, while Shamblin, still sitting in the smoldering remains of the Big Daddy's Toy, will receive a disqualification for taking down the finish line markers. The ground crew removing the markers from literally underneath the machine as Shamblin does everything he can to get the mud out of his eyes. While Eggers' jumping jack flash machine certainly didn't produce any world record elapsed times, he'll actually be posted in the qualified field for that effort. The toughest part for Harold Shamblin to face is the fact that the elapsed time on his run, 2.44 seconds, would have tied him with the second quickest qualifier in this field so far. But not only do you have to keep it straight and in bounds in the shutdown area, you have to keep it straight during the initial 80 feet of acceleration as well. And after taking down the poles, he'll head back to the pit area. Pulling onto the starting line, Mike Morrison, the beautiful Sweet Revenge 1932 Ford 5-window coupe with carbureted Chevrolet power. In the other lane, it will be the other half of the Wilkes racing family. You just got a chance to see Mike Wilkes' Captain America supercharged Jeep. Coming up next in the far lane, it'll be his wife, Terry Wilkes, a past winner of this event, 2 years ago, in fact, at the wheel of the Captain America Jeep. This is her brand new, fuel-injected Jeep CJ funny car, pulling to the line of the far lane. Right now, you must go quicker than 2.66 seconds to qualify for this field. Sharon Jobin, arms outstretched as the ground crew connects the kill switch. She's showing the starting line crew she's not touching any controls while they hook up the cable that will kill the motor at the finish line. A tremendous hole shot from Morrison. The lady gets sideways at the finish line, and it was a wheel-to-wheel battle, but Morrison will get the win on a hole shot. The Sweet Revenge machine goes 2.56, a losing 2.50 for Terry Wilkes. Look at the difference in reaction time. 0.49 seconds hole shot, almost a half-second advantage for the Sweet Revenge machine. So at the end of this qualifying round, #1 is Mike Willies at 2.09 seconds. #2 at 2.50 is his wife, Terry. Right now, it's time for this week's Power Drive. It was at the Tampa Stadium in Tampa, Florida. The diminutive daughter of world land speed record and pulling world great Art Arfons, Dusty Arfons, took her twin-engine, jet-powered two-wheel drive tractor out on the first pull of the night with this incredible full pull at 50,000 pounds. The lady proved later on with a runner-up that evening to her father that she can battle with the best of them. That's this week's Power Drive. We're back at the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington, in the middle of the first and only qualifying round for the Super Modified Mud Racers Championship. Keep in mind that right now it takes a run of 2.56 seconds just to qualify for the four-car field. The four quickest drivers at the end of this qualifying round will return to battle for the championship. You want to talk about beautiful rides? Here's the brand new Risky Business machine, campaigned by Roger Bozell. He has been a long-time campaigner in this particular part of the country and is an attendee of this event each and every season. And the other side of the racetrack is indeed one of 3 different female drivers campaigning here this weekend. This is Deb Linville. The Midnight Madness entry in the far lane lines up against Bozell's brand new all-fiberglass Jeep CJ funny car called Risky Business. The difference here is the fact that the lady in the far lane utilizes a supercharged engine. Bozell relies on nitrous oxide injection to feed his Chevrolet power plant. Takes a run of 2.56 seconds to qualify. RPM's up. And the lady is staged. Bozell leaves the line first. He gets sideways down at the finish line. But it looks like Bozell may have started the clocks before he actually began moving. You can see the nose of this beautiful turquoise machine roll over the starting line, and the elapsed time reflects it. 3:16 for Bozell's risky business, but it's the lady who unloads a beauty. 2.42 seconds for Deb Linville. The lady will qualify number 2 in the field right now, behind Mike Wilkie's in the Captain America Jeep. But it was actually this guy who had a plenty tough job on that particular 3-second run, just trying to keep it in bounds. As the ground crew gets ready to hook things up, take a look at the replay. On the right-hand side is Bozell, who takes a hard right-hand hook towards the finish line poles. He manages to keep it in bounds, but it was that roll on the starting line that cost him precious time. In the meantime, watch the far side. Deb Linville stages properly and leaves on a beautiful run that actually was 0.3 of a second quicker off the starting line than Roger Bozell. This time around, moving up, it'll be Mark Saunders and Gary Pierce. Saunders will be in the Mud Butcher, one of the very last of a very, very popular breed of mud racing body styles back in the early 1980s, when this sport was first turned into a national championship competition by the U.S. Hobbit Association. The 1967 Ford Bronco, one of the original all-wheel drive off-road and on-road machines produced by an American manufacturer. He'll be up against Gary Pierce in the far lane. The Boggy Man, fiberglass Jeep CJ with carbureted Chevrolet motivation. The starting line officials asking for the visors to come down. Now the Christmas tree countdown begins and goes to green. And both drivers experience problems. Pierce is on the brakes hard, trying to keep within bounds. In the meantime, major problems for Saunders and the big Ford Bronco. His elapsed time will not be anything threatening, 6.43 seconds. While in the other lane, Pierce records an elapsed time of 2.75 seconds. That will also miss qualifying for this field. You have to go quicker right now than 2.50 seconds to get into the program. And Pierce receives the word that he won't be a part of the final starting field. It looks like Pierce's machine actually ran into motor problems just before the finish line, but it was nothing compared to the nightmare Saunders was going through in the four-wheel drive Ford. From a head-on angle, you can see that Pierce did everything he could, while Saunders literally had to bag a lunch to complete his run. Without a doubt, super modified mud racing has geared itself towards smaller, lighter vehicles, and the full-bodied pickup truck is almost a thing of the past. But there's one man who will be battling the lightweight machines with one of the last full-size trucks in the business. Tom Nyhus is also one of the only Canadian competitors in the sport. In fact, you're the only guy from up north here this weekend, Tom. How does it make you really push that much harder when you come down here to battle against the Americans?
Yeah, definitely makes me push harder.
It's something that you really look forward to do.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun down here. Very good competition.
Well, you're driving a machine that is as different from the rest of the vehicles here as you are from the rest of the drivers, in that it's Ford-powered, it's a supercharged full-bodied truck. That's something that nobody does anymore. Why do you stick with such a big ride?
Well, I don't know. It's pride more than anything.
You just like to take a big full truck out there.
That's right.
Well, without a doubt, there will be more than a few Canadian fans here at the Kingdome, and this is the man that they'll be on their feet for. Nyhus' Ford is without a doubt one of the best looking in the northwestern portion of the country. The beautiful Ford Ranger with supercharged Ford power. Lines up alongside Jim Kimball, another veteran racer from here in the Northwest, and the Eagle's Nest Chevy-powered Jeep. Problems right off the line for Kimball, but Nyhus has a great one going. And the Ford fans respond. They love seeing a full-body truck put down that kind of performance. A 2.47 second run. It'll qualify in the program. What a pass for the Canadian Ford entry. In the other lane, Kimball had his problems right off the starting line. The elapsed time, 3.32 seconds. But amazingly, Kimball's silver fiberglass Jeep did manage to recover and record a strong finish. Nius has got to be happy with that. It'll qualify him number 4 in this 4-car field at 2.47 seconds. And looking at the replay, in the near lane, you'll see the problems Kimball encountered. It just sank like the Titanic right off the line, and the rest of the run was spent struggling to get back on top of the mud, while the Canadian Ford in the other lane was putting down a ripper. Extremely violent launch for the Canadian entry. No question about it. That thing makes some horsepower. So with the bump spot now 2.47 seconds, one more driver has a chance to make the program, and it's the awesome new supercharged Chevy-powered Jeep called Problem Child of Matt Holliday. You can see the full suspension on this 1,500 horsepower small block Chevy. As Holliday rolls to the beams, it'll be one man against the clocks. He must go quicker than 2.47 seconds to gain a spot in the Camel 4-car shootout. The ground crew connects the kill switch, and now Holliday knows he's on his own. A tremendous ride on the brakes. He'll stop it in time. Was it quicker than the 2:47 he needed to qualify? 2.09 seconds. That will give him the number 2 spot, literally tying the quickest run in the history of the Seattle Kingdome. An exceptional run will put Holliday in the 4-car Camel shootout. Under pressure, he delivers the goods. He gets the word, and he knows he's in the program. And now has to head back to refuel and get ready for the final. Literally a textbook pass. That is the way it's supposed to be done. Track record time, stopping within the required distance, staying on top of the mud, and straight as an arrow. You'll notice that even though the car is attracted to the ruts in the center of the lane, Holliday does an amazing job of keeping that car straight while it started to drop into those holes. The crowd loves it, and the final qualified field includes Mike Wilkie's Captain America and Holliday's Problem Child at 2:09, followed by the Lady Deb Linville and Ken Jobin defending champ of the brand new machine, number 4. But stay with us, because when we come back, we've not only got the Camel Mud Racing Shootout, we've got monster truck action from St. Paul, Minnesota. Super Tracks will be back in a moment. Washington, and here at the Kingdome, 40,000 race fans are ready to see the 4 quickest machines in the history of this event battle it out for the Camel Super Modified Mud Racing title. In the far lane, it's the number 1 qualifier and new track record holder Mike Wilkies at 2.09 seconds. He'll be up against the Mud Night Madness entry of Deb Linville. Unbelievable run for the Captain America Jeep. Wilkie's picking the front end up in the air at the 3/4 track mark and flying across the finish line. The Lady Deb Linville runs into problems and fails to complete the run. The elapsed time for the Captain America Jeep, 1.97 seconds. The first run ever under 2 seconds flat here in Seattle. Absolutely incredible pass. And obviously disappointed Deb Linville sits at about the 60-foot mark. Something in the drivetrain going away in the Mud Night Madness supercharged Jeep that performed so well in qualifying. She is obviously upset about the performance encountered here in the final round. But certainly most of the crowd was watching the run in the other lane. Absolutely incredible effort for Mike Wilkies as he once again tries to retain the domination that the Captain America Jeep enjoyed for so many years in this part of the country. As Deb Linville awaits the ground crew for a tow out of the pit, we'll take a look at probably one of the most incredible mud runs of the year so far on what is always a tricky course, yanking the front wheels in the air and recording a 1.97 second run. This, my friends, on a track that had a previous record in the 2.7 second range. Stopping it with plenty of room to spare. An amazing effort. You are the first man in the Northwest to cover an 80-foot mud pit in under 2 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, that deserves a round of applause. Washington's own Mike Wilkies. the first man ever under 2 flat here at the Kingdome. You told us before the event that you were just going to do whatever you had to do. I think a lot of people are surprised at how this track is hooking up. You will admit that very seldom does a track get quicker in the second round.
Yeah, there's a lot of good hookup there. It pulls really good.
Well, it was storming. You got it stopped in time. You shut it off right at the finish line, but it was pulling hard all the way.
Yeah, well, things went my way, and I managed to pull it off.
I got to tell you this much. You saw Matt Holliday tie your track record of 2:09 in the qualifying round. Does he have the power to break into the sub-2 second club like you just did?
Oh, yeah, for sure. He's running really good now. He's fast.
Well, congratulations on being the first one to do it. If nothing else, guy, you deserve it.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Wilkes obviously does not believe it's over. Not only can Matt Holliday run the number, but we still don't really know just how much power the new BOGFATHER has. In the right-hand lane, Ken Jobin, who debuted this machine and qualified on its maiden voyage at 2.44 seconds, now lines up against this man, the guy who ran 2:09, right alongside the incredible Captain America Jeep in the first round of qualifying. Holiday's supercharged entry, the exact type of motor that Jobin had stated earlier he wanted to beat, his nitrous oxide injected machine. Utilizing basically the same engine size, around 500 cubic inches, as most of the other competitors. Jobin appears calm, talking with the starting line officials as they get ready to clear the top end of the track. They're still trying to patch up some of the ruts left from Deb Linville down on the top end of the track. And Matt Holliday's crew is ready to refire. The crewman, with a squeezed bottle of fuel, primes the fuel injector, and Holliday fires up the supercharged problem child. 1 run left in this event, and the mark to beat is the quickest run in the history of this championship battle. Both drivers check the gauges, move in and fully stage. They're ready. Problems for Holliday. Jobin takes it through, but it appeared the car may have spun the tires pretty heavily on the starting line, and that has become a problem with the nitrous oxide injected machines on wet surfaces. Holliday was never in the running. Something going wrong with the gorgeous problem child Jeep. The elapsed time, 3.40 seconds. But did Jobin's BOGFATHER run the number required to win? He had the better 197. He runs 2.48 seconds. And Jobin responds, as you might expect, with disappointment. If we take a look at the replay, I think you'll see that right off the starting line, the BOGFATHER machine ran into tire spin problems. And if you look at the tires in this shot, you can see that Jobin uses an unusual cut design on these tires. Remember, under U.S. Hobbit Association rules, they've got to be street-legal DOT tires, but you can change the tread. And you can see the tire spin problem on the line that killed Jobin's chances of winning this event for the second consecutive year. Even bigger problems for Holliday as his problem child becomes just that. Neither driver able to gain the traction they needed. So Mike Wilkes wins with the first ever sub-2 second run in Seattle mud racing history. It's time for the show.